On September 24th, there was a meeting, well, actually a webinar, of some high-profile Republican donors and members of the payday lending industry. It was led by a man named Michael Hodges. Now, Mr. Hodges billed himself, according to the Washington Post, as a high-profile Donald Trump campaign donor. And what Mr. Hodges said on this little webinar that he was leading was to tell the payday lending industry that, hey, if you want a favor from Donald Trump or from anybody in the Republican Party, really, all you got to do is just give them a little bit of money. This is not speculation, by the way. This is not really paraphrasing what Mr. Hodges had to say. This is because the video of the webinar was actually posted on YouTube this past Friday before it got taken down after about an hour, when the Washington Post got a hold of it and started calling some of the people that they were able to identify from the webinar. And that's what drew their attention to the fact that, oh God, somebody's posted this online. Now here's a couple excerpts from Mr. Hodges about how this little influence scheme that he's running works. For example, I've gone to Ronna McDaniel and said, Ronna, I need help on something. She's been able to call over to the White House and say, hey, we have one of our large givers. They need an audience. They need to be heard, and you need to listen to them. So that's why it's important. That is a direct quote from the video of Michael Hodges explaining how things work with the Republican Party. You give them some money, and then you call up the chairwoman of the Republican Party. That's who Ronna McDaniel is, for anybody who hasn't been paying attention for a few years. And you say, Ronna, hey, I need something. You better go to the White House, because at this point, as Hodges points out, Ronna has become his employee because he pays money, so she's got to do what he says, and Ronna's more than happy to go and do it. So she goes to the White House, or she calls the White House and says, hey, this guy, he's a big giver, he needs a favor, you better do it, and they do it. That is influence peddling, folks. That's quid pro quo. I mean, hell, this is likely bribery at this point, because Mr. Hodges is sitting there on that webinar telling all these other payday lenders, hey, this is how you do it. And you guys have been doing it. We know you have. Just keep doing it, because God forbid we end up with a Democrat in the White House in 2020. And then what happens to you, payday lenders? You're going to be going back to those same regulations you were under at the end of the Obama administration. One of the best things Obama did in office was put these regulations in place by way of the CFPB, and it cut back on what these payday lenders were able to do to scam American citizens. Donald Trump came in, put Mick Mulvaney at the head of the CFPB. Mulvaney, who had, during his House of Representatives career, taken lots of money from payday lenders, started rolling back all those regulations that had been put in place, telling the payday lenders, hey, it's okay, go back out there to the poor communities. Charge them 900% interest rates. Lock them in an endless cycle of debt. We don't care. We're Republicans. Screw them all over if you have to. We'll be right here to give you whatever you need. That's what Mr. Hodges was talking about in this webinar. And that's what Donald Trump and Mick Mulvaney and every other Republican has delivered to them. But now they're scared. They're scared about what's going to happen in 2020. Because if you end up with a President Bernie Sanders or a President Elizabeth Warren, the payday lending industry is about to go extinct, as they rightfully should. These are predators. These are the worst of the banking industry. And that's saying a lot. To be able to look at the people at Chase and Bank of America and all of these other Wall Street banks, HSBC, to be able to look at them and say, hey, at least you're not as scummy as these guys in the payday lending industry, that's pretty bad. But that is exactly what these folks are. Now, you can go check out the audio for yourself. It's in the link in the description of this video, and I encourage everyone to do it, because they're explaining exactly how the Republican Party, and in many ways the Democratic Party too, how they work. You give them money, then they're going to do whatever you ask them to do. This is the problem with politics in the United States today. This is why we have to put stricter limits on campaign donations. This is why we have to overturn Citizens United and McCutcheon. This can't continue. And Mr. Hodges, like the pompous, arrogant Republican that he is, spelled it out so clearly for us that when it comes time to vote on a constitutional amendment to overturn Citizens United and McCutcheon and get rid of all these billion-dollar donations, this audio of Mr. Hodges here, this ought to be Exhibit A, and it should be run in television ads and radio ads in every single city across this country. Thanks for watching, everybody, and don't forget, if you like what you see here, like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. And now, you can also become a member of Ring of Fire and get exclusive early access to certain Ring of Fire videos all throughout the week. Just click on the little join button right below the video.